Man, you would have thought that the Patriots ended up bringing back Tom Brady. Damn prime Randy Moss back onto their roster going into 2025. I gotta say, all right, welcome back, Patriots fans. I'm so glad the Avengers were able to bring you back after Thanos snapped you out of existence in 2019. Like, bro, oh my God, man. I am seeing Patriots fans pound their chests. Oh, man, we got Stefon Diggs, man. Watch out, Buffalo. AFC East title is ours again. We back. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I have been on record saying that I am high on the New England Patriots this year. I think that they will be a playoff team. I do think that they will be better than the Jets, than the Dolphins. They could probably squeeze their way into the playoffs. But it has nothing to do with Stefon Diggs. Absolutely zero, zilch, nada with Stefon Diggs. I think it has everything to do with the defensive moves that they made in free agency and who I believe they will target in the upcoming NFL draft. But, I mean, guys, like, if you need an example of how crazy some of these takes from Patriots fans have been, just go to Schefter's tweet himself, all right? Like, go to this specific tweet and just run over some of the responses right here. Okay, so this guy, C. Bass, with a most Boston name on X possible with the middle finger emoji. So badass, dude. So badass, man. Save some for the rest of us, all right? Shit. My girl's on this app, all right? Relax, Seabass. He says, yeah, Bills fans are going to say that that's an overpay and that Palmer was a better price bargain. First off, I think we can all agree, right? As many of you know, I hate annual average value. I hate annual salary because I think that it is something that could easily be confused amongst fans. I say don't look at the overall deal, which is $69 million, but look at $26 million. Look at the guaranteed money. I think that's a lot of guaranteed money, especially for a receiver that's about to be 31, 32 years old. He's just coming off of an ACL tear. He was not elite over in Houston. He was good, but he was not elite Stefon Diggs last year. I think what was going through Vrabel's head was that, okay, so many people are comparing, or at least try to compare, Drake May to Josh Allen, or they try to manifest the same development that Josh Allen had. And they made the connection of Stefon Diggs being added to the Buffalo Bills roster just a couple of years back that helped Josh Allen take that next step. And maybe they're hoping that Steph could do the exact same thing for this young guy. But $26 million guaranteed is absolutely insane. And there's still a lot of question marks as well. What exactly is he going to be for Drake May, right? Like, is he going to get into this rookie's head? Is he going to be demanding the football? Is he going to be having hissy fits on the sideline? Because remember, this is not a Belichick system anymore. This is Mike Vrabel. And as much as I love to give Vrabel credit, he's a very talented head coach. So I will give him that. Is that going to be something that is going to cause Drake May to be a head case in 2025 with this? Right? Like sitting there all worried, walking on eggshells because his wide receiver number one, quote unquote, is upset about maybe them losing to the Buffalo Bills, for example, or them losing a couple of games here and there. It has remained to be seen. But the biggest question for me here, folks, is all of this smoke, right? Because he tore his ACL, and by the time that week one is going to be rolled around, so what is it going to be, like 10 months removed? What kind of Stefon Diggs are we going to see on the New England Patriots? Say, for example, and I still do not believe that he will be back by week one. I know a lot of Patriots fans are attempting to manifest that they are going to see him out there on week one, and they're looking at the videos, watching him run at full speed, like him lifting all this weight. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. An ACL injury, especially at the 31-year-old mark, I don't believe that the recovery is going to be as fast as people would hope. And even if he does try and rush himself back, he's just subjecting himself to further injury. Him going at 100% speed is a hell of a lot more of a question, right? Is he going to even look remotely the same if he rushes back by week 1? If I am the Patriots, I'm waiting till week 5, week 6 to activate him and actually give him significant snaps. And then once he is activated, it's going to take a little bit of time for him and Drake May to establish some sort of full speed chemistry. So realistically, I can't see him being much of a factor for this team until about week 12, week 13. But needless to say, folks, Stefon Diggs back in the AFC East. And do the New England Patriots pose a threat to the Buffalo Bills? I think that's a good question, right? So I do think that that is a good question. Should we be worried about the New England Patriots in 2025? Well, I'm going to say this. Not yet, but soon. Not yet, but soon is when I would say this Patriots team really has a good opportunity of competing for the division title in the AFC East. Again, I will say that I think that they will be a playoff team. I do think that they are better than the New York Jets, and that's even before this draft. I do think they're better than the Miami Dolphins. But I just don't see them being able to compete with the Buffalo Bills this year. Maybe they end up squeezing away a game, splitting, but as far as consistency, as far as the quarterback position, which I think is hands down the most important at any given NFL franchise, I'm still giving the nod to the Buffalo Bills here. But I mean, crazy ass news. I was so happy that I was able to hop on here and start chatting you guys up because I know that Bills fans and Patriots fans have been at each other's necks for the past couple of hours ever since this news broke last evening. Folks, if you were just tuning in, all right, this is the part of the episode where I transition over to the live chat exclusively. If you are watching the replay of this video, I highly recommend when you subscribe to the channel, you turn on bell notifications because I want you to be a part of my live chat community. Y'all really carry the show here by directing it into any direction that you would want based off of said topic. Thank you so much, guys. Smash that like button. Let's go on ahead and get into this live chat, but not before I give a giant shout out to today's sponsor. That just so happens to be William Matar, folks. If you are hurt in a car, you better call William Matar. #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish a car accident on any of you, but if you ever find yourself in that unfortunate scenario, it's very important to find the appropriate representation and look no further than the best in the game. And that is William Matar. Phone number is on the screen. Let's talk to some people. Let's see what we got. Let's see what's happening. No bones about it. Just came in with a statement. I'm ready for it. That's how irrelevant this Diggs move is that I'd rather talk about Nashville hot chicken. Listen, I enjoy some Nashville hot chicken. I am not going to lie to you. I really do. But here's my take on it, right? Stefon Diggs signing with the New England Patriots is the exact same thing as DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Titans a few years ago, right? Same exact thing where they are going to see very limited production. They are not getting Stefon Diggs. They are getting the ghost of Stefon Diggs. However, I do still think that he will be able to get open. I do think he's the best wide receiver on the roster. And listen, I do actually empathize with Patriots fans because they have been saying, especially in my comment section, being like, Dan, relax. Last free agency signing that we had was a Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, that was the last one that we could even remotely get excited about. So give us an option. Raymond Heim is coming in. I am sorry your dad chose a bad football team for you to like. Raymond Hyman is in the chat. What is going on, Raymond Hyman? Dude, listen, I am so glad you're back. I am so glad that you're back. Listen, you know what? Like, you crawled into your hole of shame and misery ever since Tom Brady ended up going over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, you know what? How much you want to bet that Raymond Hyman over here has a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey with 12 and Brady on the nameplate, collecting dust in his damn closet? That's the difference between Bills fans and Patriots fans, Raymond, is that regardless of the dark times with our teams, we are there. I'm just kidding, Raymond. Listen, don't be sensitive, all right? Don't be sensitive. I've already given the Patriots their flowers on their offseason. I'm just trying to tell you that Diggs is more than likely going to be a ghost of Stefon Diggs opposed to being an actual Stefon Diggs. Dan, we are going to have fun this year. Go Bills. We're going to have a great time this year, man. I am excited about it. And it's funny because now the Jets and the Dolphins, they will be in the basement. It's going to be the Bills and the Pats. I wish Drake May was on a different team. I wanted him to succeed. Now I got to root against him. He's going to do well, and I will enjoy watching Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots games. Have more names than our wide receiver core. They will beat us once, maybe twice. Stenke Chandler, bro. Every time you bitch, I need you to give me 50 push-ups. Every single time. Every time that something that resembles bitching comes off of your keyboard and onto my screen, I need you to film yourself doing 50 push-ups, all right? And tagging me on X. I gotta punish you. I have never seen anybody more miserable in my life. I love you, man. I've been trying to make you a happy guy, and it's very difficult. 50 push-ups right now, Senke. 50. Carvin. So this means Cooper is going to be a Bill or a Cowboy next season. I still think we stay away from Amari Cooper, to be completely honest with you. We have Ashton. Dan, and did he get a haircut or am I just insane? I got a haircut last week. I have been wearing a hat like every now and again, but yeah, recently I did. Farah is coming in and saying Patriots will be the main challenge in the AFC East, just like Miami was supposed to be last season. We have bigger problems to worry about with the schedule that we have. Elliot is coming in and saying, I can't wait for Diggs to drop a critical pass in the fourth quarter to cost his team their season in the wild card round. Damn. Pulling no punches here. Carly, I'm wondering if Steph will have patience for a young quarterback. Listen, so I have to give Steph some credit, right? Because he was a key portion of the reason why Josh Allen was able to develop, right? He was the training wheels to Josh Allen prior, right? And to his overall climb in the NFL world. I feel like he'll be good for him. Because normally he does behave himself in the first year of his contract. But again, I just don't really have a lot of confidence that he's going to come back and be the exact same guy after an ACL tear in 31. Backbone 5. Drake May won't take the next step if he can't fix his footwork. It's crazy how everyone thinks he fixed it already. LMAO. Ethan just came in. Oh, look at that, Ethan. I honestly feel kind of bad for Stefon Diggs. While I don't like Diggs overall because of how his time in Buffalo ended, he did do a lot for the Bills, and it sucks that we have to beat him twice a year. That's what I'm saying. Dexy Gaming coming in with a statement here. He said, Dan, my aggressive mock draft for the Buffalo Bills, Siobhan Revel Jr., as many of you know, I'm a massive Siobhan Revel guy, Tyleek Williams, Darian Porter. So we doubled down at the CB2. I like it. Omar Norman Lott, Ashton Gallott, Billy Bowman, Kyle Williams, Willie Lampkin, and Sean Dolak. Wow. Wow, man. Talk to me about it, baby. Hot take. Mac Hollins has a better year than an already declined 32-year-old post-ACL Diggs. Surprisingly enough, I want to say that Mac Hollins is also 32. Cry, Finns, cry. Oh, my God. When Diggs gets doubled every game, they have absolutely nothing. I'm not even sure if, you would have to double him at this point. Stefon Diggs had one moment, but in Minnesota, the catch heard around the world. After that, Buffalo and Josh Allen made Stefon Diggs the couple years he spent in New York. And didn't the DB fall as well? Didn't the DB fall during the Minnesota Miracle? I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Stefon Diggs had one moment, but in Minnesota, the catch heard around the world. I already got that. Let's see. Nothing lasts forever, Bills fans. I am just saying, well, I mean, listen, when you have a good quarterback, you are always in contention. That is for sure. That is one thing that has always been proven. When you have an elite quarterback, then each and every single time you will find yourself in the playoffs. Likely. If the Pats get Hunter, Vrabel will collect this division and we can finally move on from McDermott and Bede Senke. Listen, 100 push-ups now. Senke, bro, your chest is about to be fucking bulging by the time, all right? Like I said, every time you bitch, you owe me 50 push-ups. And I need proof. I need proof, all right? Film yourself doing push-ups right now and tag me on X. All right, my friend, listen, I woke up and had a good day, and then, oh no, Senke's in here, all depressed and shit. Relax, fool. I'm just kidding. I love you. But seriously, smile for the love of God. Farah, would love if we kept Coop and he catches the winning touchdown in some highlight-worthy way against the Patriots. I'm kind of over him. I have no interest in that. Robo is coming in saying he's not washed, but close to washed. Okay, so he's teetering on the line of washed. Diggs still is a good route runner, but beyond that, he is average, even below average. He is not going to get any deep balls, and if he gets doubled, he is done. Look, solid player a couple of years ago, right? But his last year with Buffalo, like his average separation started dwindling about 0.3, 0.4 yards based off of advanced metrics. And that was before he even ended up getting an ACL tear. So I'm just curious to see what we're talking about here. I think Mac Hollins was a better get than a post-injury Diggs, to be honest. This Pats versus Bills rivalry will feed families. May versus Allen and our cornerback lock down. Man, it's going to be good. Listen, I will say I'm glad the Patriots are back to a sense where it's going to be a bit more competitive. Scott just came in with a $10 donation. I appreciate you, Scott. Hope you were having a wonderful Wednesday morning. So, Dan, question in the draft: if defensive tackle and defensive ends start coming off of the board in a few select CB, do you think Bean would go with a DB or wide receiver at 30, or do you see him trading out of the first? I don't necessarily see him trading out of the first as an option because we already have 10 picks, right? Like, that's a lot of picks. And you look at our arsenal, it's giving us all the signs in the world that more than likely this dude's going to be trading up. Maybe he doesn't do it in the first. I think that he will slightly, maybe at the absolute highest, 21, 22, what have you. And that's at the absolute highest for me. And then also like trade up into the third, maybe slightly into the second. It just depends. But so it really just depends on like where the Buffalo Bills board is. What players are they absolutely in love with? And there are a couple of players that I'm completely fine with us trading up for, but they have to fall and they have to be a day one contributor, a franchise altering type player. You know what I mean? We have number one Connecticut Bills fan. What's up, dude? How you doing? Diggs signing with the Pats is great for the AFC East, but even better for Buffalo. Let him screw up the chemistry in their locker room, man. Hey, Dan, hope all is well, my guy. Ready for the draft so I can start making my yearly, this is our year mindset. Me too, man. Me too. I really hope that we walk away with a draft that is going to make each and every single one of us smile. I genuinely believe that that could happen. Pats fans are saying, why is he on doomer mode? Dude, I love Senke, but holy hell, man. Oh my God, bro. Like, have you ever had a friend that, so the vibes were just always solid, but then like he turned around, he was just like, you know what? Like, what's the point of all this? We're all going to die anyway. Like, that's Senke to me. You know what I mean? Like, I could be having the best day in the world. Like, this morning I woke up, I worked out. I went on a run on the beach this morning, man. Fresh air, sand to my toes, baby. And then I get on here trying to have a good day, and Senke comes up with, oh, it's done, dude. It's done, bro. Nah, Senke, I'm just kidding, man. We love you over here, man. Just be happy, for the love of God. Yeah, the Pats are better on paper. Me personally, I got to see it happen on the field. I love all the defensive moves y'all made, right? And y'all adding Diggs does not make you significantly better or worse, right? He's just there. I still think that y'all are going to go for a receiver in the draft and go, I don't know. We'll see. Robo says, heard many Pats fans on Insta are saying that the division is wide open and they can win the division this year. Will they never learn? So again, right? So do I feel like that they are like direct competitors with the Buffalo Bills right now? That all Bills fans should be worried that they are going to steal the division from us in 2025? No. But what I will say is they're close. I'd say 2026 is probably a bit more realistic. And that obviously is all depending that Drake May goes out there and plays very well, right? Like we see year two quarterbacks have a massive slump. We saw it from CJ Stroud last year, and not a lot of people want to talk about that. A year two sophomore slump is a very real thing. Can he overcome that? Can he make steps in the right direction in his development of a young quarterback in this league? It all depends on Drake May, if you were to ask me. Chris Godwin just came in with a great statement. I think Bean will do a jump from like 30 to around 25 or so just to solidify we get the guy that we want. I'm hoping it's Kenneth Grant. But we will see. Go Bills actually in Tampa right now for spring break. Matthew, damn. Have fun, bro. Have fun, my friend. Tampa is a great part of town. I am that friend, to be honest. Hey, listen, Texas Chode. It's all right, man. It's all right, man. Listen, we are all going to make sure that all of us leave this stream with a smile. We will trade with the Bills. Last time we traded with the Bills worked out for us. I'm not really sure who I'd want from you guys that's realistic of being traded. I bet my money by the end of the season, and this is coming in from Carvin, that fans from New England are going to be begging for Diggs to be traded. Oh, my God. Bills on top. Chris Godwin just came in with a solid statement. Dan, what is your dream first 3 picks for us in this year's NFL draft? Mine would be Grant in the first, have Amos in the second, and Watts in the second. Not sure what will happen, but it's good to dream. Chris, damn, man. We're sitting here like going with dreams, man. All right. Here's mine. I'd say Kenneth Grant would be first round. I'd be very happy about Kenneth Grant. We trade up slightly in the second round. And grab Maxwell Hairston, CB2 out of Kentucky. And third pick is Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Utah State. Say that Kenneth Grant and Maxwell Harrison and Jalen Royals are the first 3 players off the board for the Buffalo Bills in any which round. And depending on whether or not that we trade up, super happy about that. But there are several players in this upcoming draft that would make me happy. Jordan716. I think Vrabel will be a better head coach for them. Listen, I have a lot of respect for Vrabel. I really like what the Pats have done this offseason. I do think they are a playoff team. I really do. I'm just saying that I really don't think that Stefon Diggs is going to be a leading contributor to that success. It's largely going to be all of the defensive free agency moves that they've made and this upcoming draft class. I just want to curb expectations. I don't think that he's going to be wide receiver 1 for this team. I think that it's going to be a player that they ultimately end up drafting that's going to have a hell of a season. So you don't want to jump up to 24. It really depends. So it really depends on how the board falls. Like say Jahdae Barron is still there at 24, 110%. 110% I would trade up for Jahdae Barron. Or say like Emin Wari is up there too. I'd probably trade up for him too. Zickness is coming in saying Jordan retired, Brady retired, and teams never the same again. Go Bills. Paul Costa, it's contract friendly for the team. Paul, I'm sorry to be raining on your parade. From a Patriots POV, I have mixed feelings about Stefon Diggs. Like, dude, like, it's not going to hurt, right? He's a solid route runner. He's automatically the best wide receiver on your team. That is a weapon for Drake May. I just feel like Patriots fans that are looking at Stefon Diggs and being like, oh my God, dude, this is Tom Brady and Randy Moss incarnated, like reincarnated. That's not right. But can he stay healthy, right? Like, what does his recovery from an ACL look like? Is he still going to be able to like cut as well as he used to, run routes as well as he used to? Probably not. But do you need him to, right? Like maybe you just need an above average route runner. That's my thought. Dexy, dude, my boy Dexy's all about the draft, bro. He's all about the draft, baby. He's saying, Dan, I think going Siobhan, Revel, and Darian Porter would work because it gives Revel time to be fully ready, and Porter can be that CB2, CB3, and can play on special teams. So the funny thing about Darian Porter is that he was previously a wide receiver. He transitioned recently over to the cornerback position, and he does have that, which is great. Plague is coming in about Nick Emanwari. He's watching his film, and I'm saying we absolutely need this guy. Look, I feel like some Bills fans, like they look at this draft and they're convinced. Like they say, look, if we don't walk away with a defensive tackle in the first, like we better like start signing picket like signs or whatnot, like have like giant poster boards and go protest Brandon Bean right at one Bills drive. Or maybe they feel a different way about a particular position. But if you're talking about like a franchise altering type player, an Emanwari would be that. Like he would be a first season contributor. And a franchise altering pick. That is how confident I am in that player. And I will not be pissed off at all if Emanwari is the guy. Starks over Emanwari any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Hey, listen, I would not be upset with either of them, to be honest with you. Chris Blair has just come in with a question. Dan, what do I do in Madden trade? In a Madden trade, all our first round picks for a young stud talent. What? Dan, what do I do in Madden trade? All of our first round picks for young stud talent. So who's the young stud talent for all of your first round picks? That's what I'm saying. Spin. I would take defensive tackle, defensive end, cornerback, wide receiver before taking Emanwari. Spin, man. He's not an Emanwari guy. Oh, my God. Jay Tang. And you think the Pats finish better than the Finns this year? Yes. So I have the Pats finishing in second place and likely being a wild card team. DTN. Pats fans in here rocking with us this morning. I think Diggs will have the same treatment that Ocho Cinco had when he joined the Pats from the Bengals. It's all right. Look, say that I compare this Stefon Diggs signing with the New England Patriots really reminds me of DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Tennessee Titans, right? Like everyone's super excited, being like, oh my God, dude, he's going to be incredible. But then once it actually came to fruition, they're like, oh my God, he might be washed, right? Same thing with Ocho Cinco. Same thing with so many other stories. Like same thing with Julio Jones, for example, right? Steve Mills just came in and saying, hey, Dan, good morning. I like Amos. He's impressive and very mature with size and speed. He needs a bit of work on tackling, but with McDermott, he will fix the tackling issue. Go Bills. I'm a big Amos guy myself. And you know what? As far as tackling for corners, like some people look at like a corner and they're just like, oh, he's a shitty tackler. Like we need to stay far away from him. First off, I think tackling technique is one of the easiest things that a good coaching staff can bring out in a prospect, right? Like that's something that you can really fix. Like being able to read a quarterback, that's a bit tougher, right? Or teaching coverage or being a better coverage corner is a hell of a lot harder to coach than tackling technique, right? And say, for example, that you have a solid linebacker core that does their job and a solid defensive line as well. Some tackling concerns are never really enough for me to pass on a solid corner that's good in coverage. Like, say that I got a guy that is borderline elite in coverage. Like, so not elite, but borderline elite. And he's going to give me 6 or 7 missed tackles a season. Whatever. Whatever. Like, that's always been my mindset. DeMarcus 2002. Have you heard Colby's thoughts on Stefon Diggs signing? I have not yet. I'm very interested to hear what he has to say on the AFC East roundtable this evening. But no, I have still yet to hear anything. I want to get Hunter, if not Tet McMillan. I'm assuming Joe Weather is a Patriots fan coming in here. I mean, maybe Tet would make sense for you guys. Maybe. Maybe he would make sense for you. A small piece of the puzzle, Stefon Diggs, Chris Blair. Do what I do in Madden and trade first-round picks, stud talent. Go Bills. Chris Blair, Matthew. I can find Tom in Tampa. What the hell, Dan? Tom? Bro. We have Chiefer. Thanks for sharing the Joe Delaney story. No issue at all, man. That was an old video. An old one, man. I'm glad to see that you found it. It was a solid, sad video that I have a lot of respect for that player. Rest in peace. I don't get everyone's want for a defensive tackle. It makes no sense for that to be the pick at 30. I could see us getting one in the second, but corner is a way bigger need. And do you trust Dane at CB2? He's more like CB4, CB5, right? And there's a lot of really good CB2s that we could get in the second round, right? Like, don't be married to a position. Like, say that you're going into the draft and you're just like, man, I need this position in the first. Like, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment at that point. And I would argue that an interior defensive line is half of the reason why we struggled so much last year on defense, was just because we did not get to the quarterback. The only reason why this Buffalo Bills defense was able to pick away a couple of good games last year was just because we already had a solid secondary that was capable of taking away the football, right? A solid secondary that was able to take away the football. And you look at Rasul Douglas, who had 0 interceptions last year. Like, what's the point if we end up replacing him with another CB2 that gets 0 interceptions next year, right? Why defensive tackle is so important is just because, number one, it's clear that Daquan Jones has regressed. We get no pressure from the interior. Sometimes we get it from Ed Oliver, but it all depends on how his partner is doing. So that one-tech defensive tackle. Say that we get a Kenneth Grant, then we completely shorten the game, right? A good defensive line is able to mask an average secondary. And we do not have an average secondary. We have a great secondary already. Like, we were at one point the number 1 team in the NFL with turnover differential. Look at what the Eagles were able to do against the Kansas City Chiefs right in the playoffs, right? Interior pressure. So important. So important to really get into a quarterback's head, because a solid quarterback is going to be able to pick over any secondary in the entire world. That's why, like, yes, I do agree. I do want another CB2 on this roster. I would be fine if we got one in the first. I would be fine if we got one in the second, or dare I say even the third. I would, right? But I think a defensive line is a hell of a lot more important than you think. 4 kids party rental, $2 donation. Bean will find a way to keep the rookie contracts. Always, and I love it. Dan, Nick is a round 2 guy, and I stand on that. Dexy is not an Emanwari guy. He's a round 2 dude right there. Do what I do in Mad Matthew. I can find Tom. Oh, my God. Sean. What's up, Dan? Sean, man, what's going on? Hope all is well. We have 288 of you rocking with me right now. We have 158 of you on YouTube, 121 of you on X. Folks, please do me a favor, smash that like button. It is the easiest way to show some love over here. And if you have not already, when you subscribe, make sure that you turn on bell notifications, because I want you to be a part of my live chat community that we have been building for so long. Sanders was a horrible tackler. Exactly. Like, that's why it never really made sense to me, where some people are looking at a corner prospect and they're just like, oh, man, no, he's a shitty tackler. Like, we don't want him, right? I'm like, dude, like, say somebody's incredible in coverage and like he's going to give you like 6-7 missed tackles a year. Like, who gives a shit? Like, who gives a shit? Right? Like, that's not his job. His job is to excel in coverage. Emanwari would fit perfectly for the Buffalo Bills defense. Emanwari, Grant, Harmon, Golden, and Egbuka in the first. I'm surprisingly good on Harmon. I've actually switched up. I've switched up my mentality on Derek Harmon. I am no longer a fan of the fit, right? He's more of a guy, I think, that his ceiling is a rotational player, and he's not really a day one impact kind of guy. Number one Connecticut Bills fan. In the first round of the draft, you go for the home runs, the physical freaks that you can't find anywhere else in the draft. Emanwari fits the Bills, so does Grant. All right. Home runs in the first for the Buffalo Bills. Home runs, right? Would be Kenneth Grant, would be Emanwari, Starks, one of those three. 4 would be Jahdae Barron, but that's if he falls. 5 is Will Johnson. That is also if he falls. I'm trying to think of like another. Mike Green, maybe. Maybe Mike Green, maybe. I don't know. Will the Pats get Travis Hunter at number 4 to pair with Stefon Diggs? So I think that Travis Hunter is going to be a DB right in this league. He's listed as a DB, and I think that he will remain a DB. So he could be paired with Gonzo, which would be solid. Chris Godwin. Who do you think is going to be a steal next season for fantasy? Not a dynasty league, just normal, but want to find a guy in the middle rounds that ends up a stud. Chris Godwin, fantasy football chat already. Oh, man. Wait until after, so the NFL draft, and then I will have an answer for you. Because I want to see how some players are implemented into a specific organization and like who I think is going to get a load of the particular offensive production. I feel like that's where I'm at. Bills better hope that Travis Hunter doesn't become a Patriot. Boston blowhard. Look, buddy, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, man. And so am I supposed to be scared of Harold Landry? Milton Williams? Don't matter. Don't matter, brother. Plague. I like how Pats fans are thinking they're winning the division. I love it. Will the Pats threaten the Bills? Absolutely not. Phil. And the biggest upgrade for the Patriots was Vrabel. I totally understand. And right before you ended up getting into this stream, I was giving you guys flowers. And I absolutely loved all of your defensive additions this year. I really did. I think we did fine in the turnover department without our CB1 and 2 getting interceptions, right? Yeah. So that's why. So like when people are just like, oh no, like we need to go on ahead and get a CB2, like first round, like no questions asked. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, honestly, like how important is a CB2 like for this team? It's important. I get it. But this team led the league in turnover differential last year, and our CB2 last year had 0 interceptions. So say that we even replace Rasul Douglas with somebody else and they put up 0 interceptions. How much of a difference is that going to make, right? Hence why I put a little bit more importance on defensive tackle for me, right? That's my thought. Phil is coming in and saying Diggs is coming off of an ACL. It is now, 32? No way he's close to what he used to be. Maybe the Pats don't need him to be, right? Like maybe they just need the ghost of Stefon Diggs out there, right? So I'm sure his route running is still serviceable. It's definitely not going to be elite rate like it used to, but I do think that it should be fine. DTN. If we can at least be competitive with the Bills, can the Pats take at least a game off of the Dolphins since we can't beat the Dolphins coming up? I think that you guys sweep the Dolphins and the Jets. Boston. Until the Bills start clearing cap space, good game on the upgrades. I mean, hey, man, listen, like we tried to do whatever we could do with the limited amount of cap that we had. Let's just hope that Joey Bosa can play more than 6 games for us, right? Jamal Jones, I would rather D-line first. It is very important to me. Joe, whether I am a Pats fan, I respect Bills, but don't sleep on Dark Vader and Vrabel. Oh, my God. I want to resurrect for JA some help. Some Bruce Smith, Shane Conlon, Cornelius Bennett, Daryl Talley, Phil Hansen, Andre Reed, and Thurman Thomas. I mean, hey, if you could figure that out, let us know. We have DeMarcus. You said you ran on the beach this morning. Where are you? I am jealous. I live in the panhandle of Florida. My friend, it's like 72, 73 degrees right now. I think it's supposed to get up to like 78, like at one point. So I try to do that each and every single morning, man. It's cool. It's cool. You know what I mean? Sean, so you think running back is an option in later rounds? Raheem Sanders? Maybe, but it just depends on like where we are with the James Cook situation. Don't worry, right before the draft, Dan will be high on someone else than Emanwari, just like he was with Harmon to start the season. 110%. Who knows? Maybe I completely transition and I'm really high on somebody else. We already know. We already know, man. We have Jamal Jones. Follow the draft board and get the best player available. Jarrell, what up? Hi, Dan, Broncos fan here. That's the best defense in the NFL. It's the best defense in the NFL right there over in Denver. Grant is my favorite player in the draft. I really like him a lot. And Spin, I will tell you what, I'm higher on Grant than Emanwari, although that it's close. But I'd probably end up giving the slight edge to Kenneth Grant. I am a Pats fan. The Pats see Hunter as a two-way wide receiver 1 and CB1 in the draft. I'm intrigued to see if we can make it happen. For fantasy, I think Ridley will be a good sleeper if they get Ward. XO put, wait. Pats fans are happy about Diggs. They certainly are. Right after the first round, not many good boundary cornerbacks. Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 in like the early second, I would say. Like solid starters. Like 2, maybe 3 that could be found in the second. Some people are high on Kobe Bryant, but we're going to have to see. Spin is saying the Pats paid Diggs like Diggs is going to be what he was pre-injury. They actually overpaid Diggs even if he didn't get injured. Oh, my God. D-line is how you beat Mahomes. I feel like D-line is exactly what you need. Like, right. All right. So right in general, right? Secondary is important. I get it. But like, we're all obsessed with, oh my God, we need a CB2, right? Like we need to trade up for Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron. I would be fine with either of those 2 players, by the way. All right. I would. But again, we're looking at a Buffalo Bills secondary that led the league in turnover differential last year. And our CB2, which we're so desperate to replace right now, had 0 picks, had 0 turnovers. So how much would it really change? Hence why I'm like, whatever. Like we'll roll out with that. Thanks for saying that, Dan, because you just jinxed the Pats for sweeping Miami. I'm here for you, bro. We act like Larry Ogunjobi and Hoyt don't exist. Bills don't need a mediocre that is Grant at 30. I would certainly not call him mediocre. He is the best one-tech defensive tackle in this draft. Leaps and bounds. And then with Larry Ogunjobi, we're not going to see him till what, week 7? And he's only on a 1-year deal. And Jones, his contract expires next year as well. So we have no one-tech defensive tackle on this roster right now. Hoyt, but that dude is a rotational guy. He is not a starter. So I think the need for a defensive tackle is more than like what people think, right? When you look at needs, folks, I also want you to look at like what contracts are expiring next year. Hence why I think that safety is also important for the Bills. And people are just like, oh, really? Like, why would we go for a safety that high? Blah, blah, blah. We have like 3 safeties that are only on 1-year deals, right? And expiring in 2026. That's half of the reason why I'm kind of like, yeah, we probably need another one-tech defensive tackle on this roster too. Chris Godwin, whatever happens in the draft, just hope Bean doesn't force anything and just takes the best player available. I really don't want another Elam situation. You and I both, my friend. Yes, Pats fans are happy about Diggs the same way you were happy about Amari Cooper. Look at that. Delusional Patriots fan. I love it. I just want a legit, for sure, defensive tackle so we don't have to spend 80% of our free agency budget on D linemen every year that we have to overpay. Fair enough. Zickness. Dan, what do you look on players besides stats so to be great fits for the Buffalo Bills? So, like, normally what I look at is scheme fit, right? There is absolutely, like, no question that there's certain players in this draft that I have a lot of faith in, right? Like, solid stats in college, but say, for example, that they are man corners, for example, right? Or say, for example, that they are like true linebackers where like they're just like run stuffers, like hard tacklers, like they'll like line up in the box, where I know, right, that what the Buffalo Bills like to run are linebackers that excel in coverage for the most part. Like, that's how our defense works the best. A lot of players, like, I'm trying to think of a couple of like guys out there that like some Bills fans have mentioned to me, and I'm like, nah, not necessarily a scheme fit. One is a safety out of Iowa. I think it's Iowa. It's Sebastian Castro, right? Good player, but he's not good in coverage. And when I look at the safeties that are currently on this roster, we're still looking for somebody that excels in that area, and he does not excel, right? Like, he would be a good player, just not a scheme fit for us. There's one specific corner, too, that a lot of people are high on that is more of like a man corner, right? I think it's Benjamin Morrison. Or I think it's somebody else. But scheme is massive for me. Like, stats are cool, but like, will they be able to fit? I don't want a player that ran something completely opposite to what the Buffalo Bills run, because I'm trying to avoid a learning curve, right? Like, that's normally what I look for. And it just depends on the position too, right? It just depends on the position. And do you think Daquan Jones becomes a post June 1st cut if they take a one tech in the draft? Probably not, because I think that we're going to ride out one more year, because what would like really be the point? Like, not unless we're planning on going on ahead and signing like Benford, for example, right to his extension prior to training camp. But say that we have no intention of signing Benford / James Cook to any sort of extension at all, then there really wouldn't be much of a point, because free agency is already said and done. And what's the point of saving that money in the first place, right? So I think Daquan Jones is probably going to be here for a bit. David, what's up, Dave? Hi, Dan. How is it going? Dan, my dream Super Bowl matchup that I'm manifesting is the Buffalo Bills versus the Chicago Bears. I have the Buffalo Bills as the #1 seed in this upcoming season. That is our only damn hope, I fear. 1 seed, bro. That is our only. Watch any Ty Robinson from Nebraska film yet? He's better, in my opinion. A lot of people like Ty Robinson, right? I have not. I did see him at the Senior Bowl. Was not my responsibility to watch the defensive tackles and or the edge rushers while I was there, but I'm going to have to, because you are not the only person who has mentioned Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. I'm going to have to take a look. I wasn't going to open up an old wound, but I'm ripping the stitches off. Pat's got multiple former Bills, Chris Hogan, wide receiver, and Stephon Gilmore. Oh my God. I'm telling you, Dan, we need to keep the first and the seconds and package our later picks to move up, unless that guy is there in the early rounds. 6 great picks. That is all we need. And that's really only realistically what can make this roster in the first place, right? Like, 10 people are not making this roster. 8 people are not making this roster. 5 or 6 roster spots is really what we have. It's Ben Morrison, but he can play zone. Yeah, that's it. So Morrison is an Elam. He can play zone. Elam had to learn zone from scratch. He can play zone from scratch. So yes, scheme fit. And then Ben Morrison also ended up having a hip surgery as well, which is also a massive concern for me, where I'm kind of like, right? We have Devontae Mott. We want a cornerback who excels in zone, but can be great in man, as we like to play both. That could be decent in man. Hope Hardy is back. Daquan Hardy, man. Look at that. Dan, what do you think about defensive tackle JJ Puigs? He had a crazy combine. I'm pretty sure he was taking snaps as a fullback at one point. Like, he's super versatile. He's a bit undersized for me. But unfortunately, I think that means that he's a McDermott guy, right? Like with that statement. For me, I would probably have to pass on Puigs, but solid player. I just don't see him fitting into what we need, right? I would love to double dip at defensive tackle. A dream for me would be a Kenneth Grant, and then we wait until the third and grab an Omar Norman lot, who I think was severely underutilized over in Tennessee because they had heavy rotation last year in college ball. He's the man. Hardy is going into his second year. Outside, Mike, what's up? Outside Benford and Johnson, Bill CBs consist of Jackson, Ingram, Hardy, Lewis, Codrington, Couch. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, it's a need, baby. It is a need. All right, guys, 313 of you in here rocking with me right now, 164 on YouTube, 145 of you are on X. Please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up sign for me. And when you subscribe, make sure you turn on those bell notifications so you never miss an opportunity to come in here and take control of the episode in the live chat. Always a good thing. Bean just needs to play it safe and draft a punter in the first round. No one can argue about him drafting best player available at that position. Man, dude, my boy Spin wanted me to grab a punter last mock draft so bad it was crazy. Thoughts on Dorian Strong? Can't tackle well, but I've seen him be glued to guys' hips in the past. So again, right? As far as anybody in the secondary, specifically corners, I'm not particularly shied away from a guy that struggles in tackling, right? Because, like someone pointed out earlier, like a Deion Sanders was terrible at tackling, right? Don't ever pass up on a dude that is solid in coverage that's going to give you like 7 or 8 missed tackles a year. Like, who gives a shit? As long as your linebackers are solid in the department, as long as your defensive line is solid in setting the edge, who cares? Grab a dude that's solid in coverage. Love Maxwell Harrison. Like, he would be an early second rounder, I would say. We'd have to probably trade up for a guy like that. I like Darian Porter as well. There's one more. And so I do like Azarie Thomas as well. Right out of Florida State. Would be pretty cool. You think Gonzo will get a pick 6 this year? He's a stud, man. He's really, really good. Bryson, if Diggs was getting mad at Allen, he's going to love May for the next 3 seasons. Mikey, so we're riding with Bass. TB, baby. Tyler Bass, baby. Tyler Bass. Locked in roster spot. So the thing is that, like, as soon as when he ended up kicking that game-winning field goal against Miami, it seemed like his yips were gone. Like, he played very well. And statistically, so you look at Bass, like his whole career, he only struggles in September. Like, most of his missed field goals, like his consistent ones, are early in the season. But then once it comes into games that matter, like November football, December playoffs, of course, outside of that one wide right a few years ago, he's pretty consistent. So, yes, I do think that Bass is going to be here. Brandon, what up, dude? What up, brother? Hope all is well. Z-Type, 2 to 3 day one starters on defense from the draft is very possible. Yes. Injected. We did see that some breaking news. We saw that so Isaiah Bond was meeting with the Buffalo Bills for a top 30 visit. So that's something. So I would be fine with Isaiah Bond, but as many of us know, I'm a massive Jalen Royals guy, and I'm also a Kyle Williams guy, too. Sign me up, Kyle Williams. And the only kicker to miss an extra point over and over and hit a game-winning 63-yarder versus Miami, good from 70, shaking my head. I mean, listen, he had like one of the worst cases of the yips I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not sure what got into him, but it sounds like that was exactly what he needed to shake it off. At first, I was really nervous. Like, he was giving me so much anxiety every single time he lined up for, I mean, really any sort of contribution, like right to the team. It was nuts. But all right, folks, that's going to have to do it for another edition of Dom Mafia Live. Please do me a favor, smash that like button on your way out. I think that we could easily get up to 150 like buttons with the live stream and then also with replays included. If you haven't subscribed already, do make sure that you turn on bell notifications because as you can see, I do include my live chat into every single episode where I sort of poll the audience, see where their thoughts are on various topics. It's something I think that I do a bit differently than others. So certainly consider doing so. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you here in a couple of hours over on Roundtable Sports for another edition of Fourth and Forever. Peace.